It's remarkable to be back here with you again. Today I'm excited to share with you the Rangers of the New Republic. We're currently developing a brand new Star Wars feature with Taika Waititi. Taika's approach to Star Wars will be fresh, unexpected, and unique. I couldn't be more excited that our next Star Wars feature film will be directed by Patty Jenkins, her inspired vision to Rogue Squadron. And now I'm pleased to introduce...
This video brought to you by the #1 website builder, Squarespace. In what would have once been huge news, another Star Wars movie has been announced. A Star Wars film by Damon Lindelof, who was J.J. Abrams' sidekick. So doesn't that fill everyone with confidence? And predictably, no one cares. How could you care? We've never seen a studio announce so many projects that just disappear. I mean, sometimes they've made such a carry-on about the announcement that they have to keep the lie going to save face. Isn't that correct, Ryan? 10:30. And others go to the safety of Disney Plus, where failure can be managed and repackaged as a win. Because honestly, none of the Disney Plus stories would have made it at the cinema. No, we'll be lucky to ever see another Star Wars film at the cinemas again. And I use the word lucky loosely, as anyone who made it through The Rise of Skywalker wouldn't call themselves lucky, would they? No, I think it'll be a very, very long time before we see Star Wars return to the cinemas. You see, it's quite the black eye when you spend $4 billion on the biggest franchise of all time. A franchise that has only known success. We don't talk about the holiday special. And within 6 years, you bring in a film that is based on one of the most popular movie characters of all time, and it bombs. And your studio actually loses money. That's quite the accomplishment. And a big downturn, seeing as The Force Awakens made over $2 billion at the box office just 2.5 years earlier. I wonder what happened in between.
Look how old you've become.
Sadly, to this day, Lucasfilm won't admit to what really led to Solo crashing. Solo losing money was such an embarrassment to Disney that we have only had one movie come out since then. And that was in 2019.
Rey Skywalker.
And any future films they have planned are only at the development stage, which at Lucasfilm means absolutely nothing. To put into perspective how much of a bitch slap Solo was to the Disney Lucasfilm confidence, since the release of the arse-blood-inducing The Rise of Skywalker at the end of 2019, Marvel has released 7 movies, and they have another 3 ready for release this year.
Shit!
And to make Marvel's job slightly more complicated, they are trying to have all their stories somewhat intertwined when it comes to the timeline.
Time travel.
A problem Star Wars shouldn't have. I mean, they keep boxing themselves in and forcing that problem onto themselves through the lack of original ideas. Like trying to get a fat girl into skinny jeans, they keep pushing new content into this narrow timeline, molesting existing characters and causing story continuity breaks all over the place, instead of breaking free and moving forward. But you know, everything has to include the Empire and lead to a bloody Death Star.
Death Star. And this is Starkiller Base.
So it's big.
But as we know, the Disney Star Wars simps will scream,
"What about the live-action streaming shows? Some of the best Star Wars content ever."
Well, my limp-wristed little friends, Marvel has also been flogging the streaming content. Just in Marvel's Phase 4, they've had 8 different shows. And that's not including any of the Netflix shows they did before Disney Plus, which were quite good. They also have another 6 shows slated in for this year. Christ. While over at Lucasfilm, it's a very sad state. Just the 4 shows in total, with just another 2 on the way. And if we're really going to be honest with our counting, the horrible Boba Fett show was really just season 2.5 of The Mandalorian.
We have a vast and expansive timeline in the Star Wars mythology, spanning over 25,000 years of history in the galaxy, with each era being a rich resource for storytelling. We can explore limitless story possibilities like never before, and fulfill the promise that there is truly a Star Wars story for everyone.
Now, none of this would mean anything if it was a case of quality over quantity, but it's screamingly obvious that it's not. And while some of it turned out to be disappointing, while others turned out to be truly awful, at least Marvel have tried some different styles of storytelling. Everything we have seen from Star Wars is just different levels of angst towards the Empire. It's also repetitive and uninventive. A quick detour to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. Now, it's hard to be an individual and stand out from the crowd. Luckily for me, I was assembled from junk, so I always stand out. But even this junkyard robot knows what makes the world go around. Cash.
What are you dreaming, little angel?
not having a boss. Now, if you want to stand out from the crowd and make your business fly, which of course means bringing in the money, you're going to need a website. And if you want the best website, you're going to need Squarespace. With Squarespace, you can have that amazing stand out from the crowd website without paying the high cost of a web designer that'll take months to get back to you, where Squarespace can have you up and running today. And that's literally today. It is that easy. Just sign up for their free trial, choose one of their amazing professionally designed templates, then make it your own with photo galleries, portfolios, and video backgrounds. And that's it. You're ready to go. They can even help you be a social media star, which means you'll look professional even before you are. Squarespace even provides a members area where you can monetize your own content right on your own website, which means that's money straight to you.
Little angel.
Your idea needs a home. You need a website. And with Squarespace, you can have a killer professionally designed website that you can easily manage and edit yourself. And it won't cost a fortune. Go to squarespace.com/robothead and try Squarespace for free. And then when you are ready to blast off, use the code ROBOTHEAD and you'll get 10% off your first purchase. See the link in the description. Get moving on those dreams. Go to Squarespace today. So Marvel's 7 movies plus 3 more this year and 8 different streaming shows with 6 more on the way since 2019 versus 0 movies, 3.5 streaming shows and 2 new ones on the way. How can Star Wars be seen as anything close to healthy when at the moment they're relying on a cute frog and a guy no one's watching whose outcome we already know? And they have 0 movies set for release.
Mic drop.
So it's a little surprise that the head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, is nowhere to be seen. She's completely missing in action. Kathleen has disappeared quicker than a teenager who's just totaled his dad's car.
Oh, shit.
I'm guessing it was getting pretty embarrassing for Disney to have so many future blockbuster movies announced by Kathleen and then having to go write the press releases explaining why they've been canned.
Rogue Squadron. This story will introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots in a boundary-pushing, high-speed thrill ride.
And as a reminder, here are some of the projects that Kathleen Kennedy personally had a say over that have never been released. Lord and Miller's Solo, a Star Wars story. That was already half done. Would love to hear the true story behind that very expensive reshoot. Star Wars Episode 7 by Oscar winner Michael Ardent. Star Wars Episode 9 by Colin Trevorrow, who left after Kathleen backed Rian Johnson's wonderful ideas for The Last Jedi, the Game of Thrones creators' Star Wars trilogy. They were supposed to make the first post-Rise of Skywalker movie, which was scheduled for release in 2022. It's part of the reason they rushed the Game of Thrones final season. Great work there, boys. Josh Trank's Boba Fett movie, James Mangold's Boba Fett movie, an Obi-Wan Kenobi film by Stephen Daldry, who recently explained that the idea he was working on was actually a full Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy. Garth Edwards' Rogue One. I know you've seen Rogue One, but it wasn't the Garth Edwards version. That never got released. A J.D. Dillard Star Wars movie, Rangers of the New Republic, a vehicle for Gina Carano's Cara Dune. We all know what happened there, don't we? Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy. Even I still hope for those to be made. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. Oh no, she even put on the helmet for the photo. A Zack Snyder Star Wars movie, which is still going ahead. It's just not part of Star Wars anymore. And Star Wars Underworld. Yes, George Lucas shelved this project because of the high expense to produce a TV show at the time. But when Kathleen took over and brought all those bags of cash, there was hope that Star Wars Underworld might see the light of day. Well, Kathleen checked out the test footage and said no. There was 0 chance she was going to give a green light to something George Lucas had worked on. She hates George. How would she have coped if the most popular show to come out of her controlled Lucasfilm was a show by George Lucas?
You know, I have a tremendous amount to learn from George.
They weren't that keen to have me involved anyway.
All studios have discussed projects that don't end up going ahead, but Kathleen's list is unparalleled in its depth.
It's the standard, what would George do?
So will we ever see Damon Lindelof's Star Wars cinema blockbuster? No, we won't. Like an intern hitting the keys on their computer to look busy every time the boss walks past. Every time Bob Iger looks up, Kathleen Kennedy's going to announce another Star Wars film that will never get produced. Right up till the time she retires, which, hopefully, shouldn't be too far away. What's that, Kathleen? Taika Waititi's making a Star Wars movie? Yes. Yeah, sure he is.
So I'll ask about Star Wars.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier. Have you started writing yet?
Yeah, but what's writing?
Kathleen has had quite the journey from serving coffee on some of the biggest blockbusters ever, to then becoming one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood, to then crashing the biggest franchise in film history as she cruises into retirement.
The galaxy far, far away.
I tell you what, I bet she can still make a great cup of coffee.
Oh my goodness! It's gonna be a party tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man!